Hello Animorphs fans and welcome back to the Animorphs Reviews YouTube channel. We're talking video game concept again. So, last time we talked about the opening level and just put a few ideas forward. Now, today's episode is going to start with me looking through the comments that you left. The way I want to proceed with this series is to let you take the lead. So the most popular, or the most talked about thing in the comments from the last video is the direction we probably head in next. So there's a reason that Stray, the game, is on the screen right now, which is the game with the cat which has currently got a bag on its head. There it goes. Why is this one here? We are going to look into why. So let's look at comments from the last episode and see where people are heading with these ideas. Firstly, thank you for your feedback. I'm quite happy to see that my tutorial level idea had no counter offers, essentially. So people seem to be quite happy with that idea of the tutorial level being the construction site. So let's go look at those comments, shall we? So we'll start from the bottom up. Actually, there it is. Marcus Conley says, I play Animorphs on a PlayStation when I was a kid. You unfortunate sod. So, the reason I've got Stray on the screen is because, straight away, Lance Magma says, have you looked at Stray? And I told you that I'd take a look at it before the next video, and I have. So, we are going to talk about that game in a little bit. Mac User, yolk pools need to be dark with the only light being from Kandrona rays. Yep, I think we discussed the grungy feel that we need. Again, I'm going to look at Stray, which I think is a good example of almost like a grungy feel. Would you say it's quite a grungy setting? Animorphsy? Construction site, yolk pool?
More yolk pool, I guess.
But that dark...
The entire game is underground.
Is it? What, Stray?
Yeah.
Yeah, so... Yeah, we'll get to that. Let's get through these comments. Can't wait for the first person mole level for the underground. Oh wait, in any sense. Level based gameplay with 54 main story levels plus unlockable bonus levels based on the additional books would be the way to go. Maybe if you blend first and third person segments you get a better result. After all, who'd want to play a 20-minute level with fly vision? This is... I think you'll see, this is the main point of contention from the first video, talking about first person and third person, whether being inside an animal's vision is going to be disorientating. That's largely what we're going to cover, if the title of this video didn't already give that away. So, thank you, Medibollocks. His dudeness says, I may be in the minority, but I'd much rather have an open world, homeworld style space combat game where you can fight directly between the Andalites and the Yeerk Empire. I can imagine that the balance of forces would be that all Andalite ships are much more powerful. Basically, yeah, that's covered the main point of your comment there. Did you do another one? Oh yeah, you did the one. Yeah, the type of game I'm going to talk a little bit about. I've been playing Hogwarts Legacy. It's that big... It's an RPG, isn't it, my dear? Open world RPG. And I think in some aspects that can work. That open world thing. I think in large parts the animal storyline would have to be a bit more linear at times. But that's going to be for another video, or at least partly today. From a strictly gameplay perspective, I think the game would be better served in, again, third person. Tight over the shoulder camera, still intimate but with peripheral vision. This would play out better in my opinion, of course, for combat sections. I agree with everything else though. Dark, gritty tone, art style, layout of opening levels, all great stuff. Thank you. Infamous RPG Group, thank you, and thank you for subscribing lately. You said you were debating it. I'm glad you'd made the right choice. Third person so you can watch the weird morphs, or first person and then morph in third person or as a cutscene, but it takes a good 2 minutes, and if you're caught because you suck at hide and seek, you won't know till the cutscene ends. Infamous RPG Group is doing an impromptu let's play streams of Know the Secret. Go check out their channel if you want to see that. thank you for the comment. EF, I don't know how to say your bloody name. The one with the cat face logo thing, avatar profile picture. I think the first person style is appropriate considering that the books are narrated from the character's point of view. Great point, I think. But you say the morphing should be in third person by default with the option to use the morph's vision, which puts it in first person view and allows you to see things like the animal does. We'll get to that. But again, talking about first and third person. Splickson says, interesting idea, never considered the idea of a first person perspective Animorphs game. It begs the question, how would that affect the morphs? I guess for smaller animals that could work, but it might be a bit awkward for the battle morphs, especially if you want megamorphs in time, dinosaurs, I don't particularly, honestly. Since you wanted to include factions, we'll talk about factions another time. I think that's for a completely different video. I won't touch that topic today. Thank you for the comment. Thank you all for your comments, obviously. Nasty Nate. Oh, you commented before. What was your comment on again? Talk about third person. Okay. So there's a direction we've taken Animorphs game, taking the role of auxiliary Animorph in. It's later in the overall story, so it could be more heavily combat oriented. I think this is, again, is something for a different video, so we can come back to that. Mac user first person can work because it's a story from your perspective. If this is going to be like Alternamorphs and you choose your own way, your own morphs, etc., then you can just imagine what you look like. Okay. So that covers the comments. Thank you all for them. So let's talk about first person, third person, all that sort of stuff. You mentioned Stray, which is this game here. Now, you're a cat in this game. And from what I've seen, it looks great. It looks beautiful. It's got that art style that I think would be great for Animorphs. So very dark, almost claustrophobic, especially on... the missions will be varied. So I think on like Yerkpool missions... And I was thinking specifically, the tutorial mission we've already talked about in the construction site. There's a lot of jumping around, it's very claustrophobic, dark, moody lighting. I really like this look. This is most definitely third person, just from where it moved there. You're straight behind this cat, and you see the cat at all times, unless you like touch a wall or something. And you can move around, but your focus is dependent on where the cat is and what have you. Would this work? I think first person is the way to go, honestly. But I think it could vary because as we move forward, and because this is obviously a concept, it's going to be bigger than probably realistically it can be. But I picture multiple levels down the line where it could possibly change. But I think the most important thing about Animorphs is that you experience the morphs. That was a huge part of the book series. Oh, I morph fly, so everything's like loads of different miniature TV sets. Oh, I morphed this animal and I can only see freaking to the side. Or I can't see in colour, or I can see in infrared, or what have you. I think that's quintessential Animorphs. And to not take advantage of that in gameplay, I think you're missing out. I seem to be in the minority opinion. Of course, I'll probably end up doing a poll on this at some point. But with that aside, I think even if we did go down the third person route, just imagine that you're morphed here. Get this freaking thing out of the way. Oh. Right, see, it looks great. You're a cat and you're bouncing around. The problem with that then is going to be how many animals you're going to morph and how many things do you have to program in there. It is going to be complicated. But again, this is just a concept. We're having fun. And then I've got a game I've started playing and the wife has been playing. She's played Stray as well. Hogwarts Legacy, which is third person again, but it's more... I think it's over the shoulder because your character's constantly in the one of the thirds of the screen, so not dead center. You're always looking sort of over their shoulder. Looks great as well. like this part here looks dark and gloomy and moody and all that sort of stuff. The problem I find with this game, you can see that the character's always in this left-hand third of the screen and you're sort of looking at an angle to where they're facing, which is slightly different. I think it looks good. The problem with Hogwarts Legacy is I think the characters always come across as a bit stiff, but that's what have you. It is still a beautiful game and it handles really well. So if you get anything near as beautiful as Hogwarts Legacy or Stray, then I think you're immediately on the right path. Apart from that, I think later on we'll do a video about mechanics, which I think we'll come back to Hogwarts Legacy for, because so far I really like the mechanics of Hogwarts Legacy. There's just something... Your hands up.
I think you don't usually like games at all. You can't...
I enjoy games. I'm not a gamer. I'll sit down for a little bit and play games as sort of like, haha, what fun. And then I feel the need to be productive and I stop.
Lila does too.
Lila does too, does she? You'd say that the gameplay mechanics are pretty intuitive for Hogwarts Legacy. But that's going to be for another day. We're still talking about first and third person. I just like a good ramble. But I wouldn't say no to a look like this. But let's talk vision, okay? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to talk about morphs. A lot of you say you want to see the morphs in third person. I don't think that's a good idea. Even if I'm not talking ultra realistic and we're talking concepts, the idea of 2 minutes of watching your character shapeshift at random, always different morphs, even with modern technology, it would probably look like crap. Honestly. It would have to be sped up unless it became a really intelligently made mechanic. Like an actual gameplay thing. Like you have to, I don't know, mess around with the buttons in order to get the morph to work right. But even then, that'd seem a bit weird, don't you think? And taking it into first person, so you're not actually seeing the body, would make that an easier process to go through. You're about to say something, my dear?
No.
Oh, I thought you were.
Sniffles.
Sniffles, okay. I've got the sniffles as well. I'm not sure if you can tell, but it's hard to say my N's sometime, or my M's. Yeah, they're not coming out too well at the moment.
Mine neither.
Because my nose is a bit dodge.
Cringe.
Cringe, my dear, cringe. The idea of watching yourself morph, yeah, I don't think it's reasonable, and I think it would get very boring very quickly. So I think that process needs to be sped up somewhat, or at least turned into some form of cutscene. But I still think first person is better, because then you can realistically speed it up, and also you can get the vision change. So a lot of you didn't like the idea of, oh, you can't go through a level without being able to see or hear or this, that and the other. Why not? Why not? A level where you can't see. Five Nights at Freddy's did it, where you're in a room. I'm not going to put it on the screen because it's just a black screen. But you get like little noise things. You get little bits of noise which indicate, oh, hold on, there's something there. Maybe I need to go there. You use a bit of intuition here. Black screen, not being able to see anything. That can be a decent game mechanic, as Five Nights at Freddy's has shown. Things being in completely different colour or wibbly wobbly, or so that you can't look straight ahead, you've got to look sideways or through the side or what have you. That can be made into a really interesting game mechanic. And yes, you say it would be very difficult, but that would be the important thing, I think. But then I'd have thought it's going to be a game of a lot of choice. So you're going to have to make choices. And as long as we don't keep it too linear, I foresee the following. You're going through a level, in first person, of course, and you come across a problem. Now, there's a quick and easy way. You can go through this underground tunnel, which requires you to morph something small and blind. So you have to go through this hearing section. Or you can take a more difficult route in a different morph that doesn't have the same sensory issues. So that will give you the option. Oh, I don't really like these levels where you can't see anything. Tell you what, I'll take the other way around. It may be longer. Maybe it's like a Rachel option, where you just morph something big and powerful and try to fight your way through everything, rather than take the covert route. That would be a good mechanic. Do I go covert? Do I go overt? I think that would be pretty good, but I think it would work best in first person, because else what's the point? If you're in third person and you can see everything the same, then you won't have that problem. That's where I think first person can be more... It could be more... What's the word? Versatile? Is that a word? Is that the word I'm looking for? Which seems counterintuitive, because you'd think first person limits you a bit more. But I think when it comes to Animorphs, it'll actually expand the options available by giving us this different way of moving, different way of seeing, different way of hearing. I think that would be very valuable. So, to recap, firstly, thank you for all your comments. I think most of you are happy with the idea of this opening tutorial level where you're going through the construction site. So I think that's going to much like Stray does here. Very dark, very gloomy. You're jumping over a lot of things, hiding away. That seems to be... That's a big gameplay thing about Stray, isn't it, my dear? You're doing a lot of hiding, a lot of moving around, shuffling, jumping on things. Yeah. I think that would be a good first level, and that's before any of the morphing begins. As happens in the story, you don't morph until later down the line. So you're just getting used to your human body moving around. And then the next level, which we can start to look at, will be learning morphs, learning your first morphs. So maybe a trip to the gardens will be a second level. And that can be topic for the next video if that's what you decide to discuss next. But let me know your opinions on first person versus third person. At the moment, I am in the first person camp because I think it's quintessential Animorphs. Somebody did point that out in the comments, and forgive me for forgetting who did. But it was essentially the comment of... I can't even remember. It was yaf. I think the first person style is appropriate considering the books are narrated from the character's point of view, and I think it will highlight how massive and scary the aliens are in the construction site scene in particular. But then you said the morphing should be in third person, which I disagree with. So
I think it should be in VR.
You think it should be in VR? God, that would make it complicated. I do also want to say, before I end this video, with this whole AI thing coming out, what was it, ChatGPT? How long is it going to be before games are utilising AI technology? Where the game will react to you, well, not so much organically, but games will be a lot more fluid rather than linear or pre-scripted. I think you'd be silly not to assume that that's not far off. Do you reckon, my dear? The AI technology is coming along so fast. How long is it going to be before you get a game that just isn't scripted? That they say, here's your initial basics, go for it. The AI is going to take over and the game will take you wherever. How long is it going to be? Not very far. So I think going forward, we can take that into account, because assuming the movie doesn't come out for another freaking 3 years, I think we'll start to see those games coming out. And when an Animorphs game finally does see the horizon, or whenever, if ever, will it be a game that utilises AI technology so that there isn't pre-scripted stuff, that it is all option and choice based? That would be massive for Animorphs. And I think, you know, walking around, oh, there's a fly, I'm going to acquire that, and then I'm going to use it to sneak into the McDonald's to see if there are any activity going on in there. Let's discuss these things. The most popular opinion, the most popular comment type or topic, that's probably the best way to put it. The most popular topic is the one I'll probably cover next, unless I get a seriously big idea. But then I probably will jump back to what's on people's minds. Excuse me. Thank you very much for watching. It's been a bit of a ramble, but that's because all I'm doing is reacting to you. I'm not really I don't script these videos. I have an idea. I see what you're talking about. I think, oh, I'll add my 2 cents to this. And my 2 cents is first person, quintessential Animorphs, make it a challenge, but give you those options for those choices. So you can say, don't like the bug vision shit, I'm just going to go in as a bear and beat shit up rather than take the covert route. That would be a fair option, especially if we go down the route of AI technology. So yeah, give us your thoughts. It'd be interesting to know what you think, and I will react to your comments in due time. So thank you very much for watching. I shall see you next time. Ta-ra.